Hi, my name is Teri Lee, and I would like to welcome you to video 2 of our series, One Digital Kit 2 Ways, a collaboration with Lisa Fisher. Lisa's links to her Facebook group and her YouTube channel are going to be below this video. Of course, mine are too, but you're already on my YouTube channel. So the papers that we're using are called Yellows and Blues, and they're by a store called the Journal Boat, and the link will be going right across the bottom of your screen, and that'll be linked below as well. There we go. Okay, so in video 1 we put in our pockets here and here, here and here, and then we glued our book together. Okay, so now in this video we're going to we're going to tape the rest of the pages, and we're going to start with the cover, and the cover's kind of easy because you can lay it out this way. We're going to do the sides first. Make sure that your working surface is really clean. Even though this doesn't look clean, you want to make sure there's no little fuzzies or grit or whatever, because they'll get stuck under your tape. I learned that the hard way on my practice page. So you're going to want to, actually, that might not be a good way to do this, because you want it to go up to the edge. And now this, you do want it to be straight, even though, of course, part of it's going to, or most of it's going to be covered by paper. I would recommend making sure it's lined up at the edge at the top. Now remember, on this, whereas on the pockets, I guess I did one with no problem, and now I'm talking and doing. Let me explain it to you first. On these, you're going to see both sides. We're going to do it the same way we did the pockets. We're going to lay them out, and then we're going to wrap it around the page, and this time it's going to be around, in this particular case, just one. But in all the rest of them, it's going to be 2. So this is what it's going to look like before we do the tops. And we're going to do the tops last. We're going to do the sides first, and then we're going to do the bottom. Okay? So let's do the side. But you have to remember you're going to see both sides on this, whereas with the other one you won't. So try to make this little pattern in this tape go as straight as you can, and try to get up as close to the top as you can. Remember, you can move it around a little bit, and you're going to be able to cut the end off. See, like that. There goes that tape sticking to everything again. I don't know why that is. And then you're just going to lift it up, and then you're going to pull it tight and lay it down just like you did on the pockets. I have a wrinkle here, so I need to pull it up. Now if you have a small wrinkle and it's going to be under the paper part, you know, you're probably going to be fine. But I don't want a wrinkle somewhere that's going to show. Now with this particular micropore tape, see, like this right here is going to show. Darn it. Let me see if I can get a hold of that corner. There we go. Wow, I got lucky there. There's a little wrinkle, but it's right in the middle of one of those little brown spots. Because across the top and the bottom, it's going to show. See, like this. The whole thing isn't going to show. But that wrinkle was right at the corner. Okay? So you want to make sure. And then you go back and smooth it out, make sure it's on there firmly. Okay? Then you're going to trim the end. Take the tape off your scissors. This is the next step that I've added in. Okay, we're going to do it again. And on the cover, we're not going to do the top yet. And on the rest, we're going to do the top last. Because it's going to be the top of one page and the bottom of the other that we do together. So I haven't done a trial one of that yet. So we're going to have to see how that goes. And the straighter you cut it off, then the less chance you have that you're going to have to go back and trim this off straight so that this is straight up here when you go to put on the next piece. So we're going to flip it over. Make sure there's no schmutz on there. Pull it over tight and smooth it out. Okay. Trim off the end. Sounds like I got some cardboard there. Okay. Or not cardboard, but folder. Now, on this, when we do the bottom, we want to make it look like this. So you want to be fairly even. In other words, the middle. When you go across the bottom. Now this one, you're not as restricted as starting with a perfectly straight edge, because you will be able to trim it off at both ends. But remember, once again, when you're doing these, that you're going to see the pattern. So you do want it to be fairly straight. Now, if you have tape that is A, thicker so that it's darker, and B, now some of this may go off the screen for just a second when I'm maneuvering it around. It's kind of long when it opens up. You know, A doesn't have a pattern, or B is thicker so that you don't see through it, then you're going to have a little more leeway than what I have on here. I still have pieces of tape sticking to stuff. Okay, trim off the ends. Now, we're at this point here, which I haven't tried out yet, so we may be in for an ugly surprise. But my plan is to go across and cover the seam and have half on this side and half on that side, and then cut it off. So let's see how well that works. If not, we may have to do tape on this side, tape on that side, and, you know, just ink across there, because our papers are going to meet in the middle at the top. So I'd like to have the whole thing covered. I think that would look better. You know, it would look more uniform. So let's go all the way across. Thinking we might have to use a bone folder to fold it. You know, to crease it, I mean. And go all the way across. Trim it off. Now remember, you're not folding this over, but you can go back and trim it closer. I wonder, not sure that would be the easiest way to trim it. I'm trying to decide. See, this part's going to be a bear, I think. Maybe I'll have to turn it around is all. Yeah, that looks good. And then I'll just turn it around so I'm cutting the right way. I don't want to cut against the way left-handed or right-handed. So you're going to want to think about that. Now you'll notice you can see a little bit right here where this tape didn't come all the way up to the exact top. So you're going to have to think about that and make sure that you get it a little cleaner than I did. Because, of course, now I'm going to notice that. And, on a side note, you're going to notice that these aren't even. So, that's something else to think about. So now, just by doing one, we've got 1 and 2 done as well. Well, I already did, but so now here we have a pocket on this side, so this one's already done. So all we have to do is this side. So now we're going to have that problem here where you can see it. Now if I had matched that on both sides, then that would be all right. In fact, I'm going to, because you're going to see these two together. So technically, if you match it on this side, then it'll match when you flip it over on the other side. Technically. So then we're going to cut it off. I'm going to open it up. Now this is thicker because it's 2 stuck together. You're going to roll it over and you're going to stick it down. Now, you see all those wrinkles there? Can you see all these wrinkles right here? So I'm going to have to pull this corner up. Now remember, you're going to be able to see this. And it's crooked too. I'm not happy with it. Do you see how that looks? I'm not happy with that. I'm not sure why it came out so different. So you're going to have to maybe take tape off and redo it. Just save those pieces like I did on that other one. And you may be able to reposition it. Let's take a look and see if I can get this off without doing anything to it. I may be able to take it off on this side. That's why I show mistakes. Because you may make the same mistake, and then this is how you fix it. If we can fix it, we may have to retape it. But you'll see that piece of tape came off perfectly fine. So let's see what we can do. It might be that this is cut crooked. Because if it is, it's going to be shorter on one side than it is on the other. I'm going to try to pull it. I'm still not happy with that at all. So I'm going to retape this one and save this for using it for trim on, you know, envelopes and pockets and such. And I'm going to start over on this one. That's why, we have another roll of tape. I actually have a third one, but I use this tape a lot. I don't sew. I have a sewing machine. I have a brand new sewing machine. And I've used it once. I take that back. I used it twice. The first time I sewed some paper, everything went well. I got a little overconfident. I think that was the problem. Yeah, let's make sure this is cut straight across. And I thought, all right. Hey, I was excited when I threaded the bobbin. And then got it to go through. So this does take a little bit of time. I mean, you can't just throw the tape on there. I mean, you can, I guess, if you wanna. But if you're me, or if you know me, then, you know, like by seeing other tutorials that I've done, you'll know that things being crooked and things not matching up drive me absolutely bonkers. Sorry about that. My working area is a little kind of farther away from me, and sometimes I need to bring it closer to do something, and then the next thing you know, it's off screen, so I apologize. Now you'll see I have this little wrinkle here, and I can smooth that out pretty much with my finger, and there's a little kind of a thing there, but the paper is going to cover that part. The part that we want to be super duper perfect on, she says confidently, as none of them match, it's going to be really hard. The only other way I could think of to do it would be one long piece all the way down, but we still wouldn't be able to do that on our pocket pieces because we can't wrap it around. You still couldn't do it anyway because you can't wrap it around both at the same time. Okay, so now we're going to trim the bottom of this one. We're going to keep working at it until we get a system down. After the first one came out so well, I was so excited, and I was like, all right. I think if I pull this one back a little bit, I think I'm making it worse. I'm trying to trim off just a teeny bit, and now it's going to look jagged. Well, that looks even worse, doesn't it, kids? We are going to put a piece of tape across the top. We'll see how much sin that covers. This part's going to be under paper. Well, not all of it. Actually, it won't, because we're going to have tape showing all the way around. All right, I may off camera go back and redo that piece, which is going to be difficult now that I've done the bottom, if you see what I mean. So I should have just left it alone. The little wrinkle was better than that. So we'll do that off camera. I'll fix it. I haven't used my bone folder and totally schmutzed everything down. Okay, now we're going to do the bottom. Okay. All right, now we're going to go crossed. I'm going to cut it off. Thank goodness that little piece of tape on my scissors didn't matter. The reason I mentioned about making sure your working surface is really clean is because I had this beautiful piece on there, and then I noticed it had a little piece of paper or something stuck underneath it. I was very unhappy. Yeah, this is really bothering me. What if I was giving this as a gift or selling it? Then that would not make me happy at all. Wouldn't make them very happy either, I'm sure. That's the only part that's hard about this. The only thing I could think of would be to tape them before we glue them together. And if I did this again, I might actually do that. And then just tape the, we could get it all taped. And then you would just, you would end up wasting a little bit of tape. Or not wasting it, but using extra tape, because you'd be gluing tape to tape when you glued the, you know, when we glued the sides together, when we glued these together. All right. So now we've got this much done. I'm going to put you on hold and do these last few. I'm not going to make you watch me do every one. Just remember on the pocket ones, when you go across with the tape, you want to be careful. You don't want to tape your pocket shut. Okay? And you want to remember also that you're going to be able to see that when you open it. So you want to kind of tuck the end of the tape under where you've cut it at the end. Okay? And on this one, it's going to be the same way. Once I put the tape across the bottom, I want to make sure I haven't taped the bottom of my pocket shut. Maybe we'll do this one more, just down the sides and across the bottom, so I can show you what I mean. Okay. I think doing this off camera is probably the best way to get it the straightest and most aesthetically pleasing way possible. Because when you can just sit and do it and concentrate without saying anything. All right, well, I talk to myself, so I do still say stuff, but it's not stuff that's safe to hear on camera. All right, so I'm going to fold it over. Turn it. And we're going to cut this off. Okay, and so now we have our pocket on this side. And it's got the nice tape on inside either side. Now, another solution would be to make every page a pocket page, like you do a little pocket book. And you can also make these and open them this way as a book. You can do either way. This kit, it's a little difficult with a vertical page kit because you're cutting them in half. With this one, with the doing it this way with the horizontal pages, I cut a couple pieces. Then you can cut them in half and then still, you know, have the whole picture, right? Okay, now let's do across the bottom of this one as a pocket page so that you can see why you have to be careful not to tape your pocket shut. There's a pocket on this side. I wrote down the measurements of the card that we're going to be making. Yeah, I want to make the cards for this, so we needed to get this pocket done anyway, or this piece. I'm telling you, I keep telling myself to throw away these little teeny pieces of tape, and then I keep not doing it. What's wrong with me? All right, so then you're going to fold this up. You're going to want to cut this really close because you're going to want that edge to kind of be open so that you can pull it open. See, throwing away the little piece. Okay, so now this side is the side the pocket is on. So once we cut it, we want to make sure that we haven't taped our pocket shut. Now our pocket's not going to go all the way to the end anyway because we've glued it right here. right? So there's glue. So I measured, and on this 8-inch page, I've decided we're going to make 6 by 4-inch pockets. I mean, writing cards. Okay? So I'm going to put you on hold, and I'm going to finish the last few pages. And then when we come back, we'll, let's see, what will we be doing? Oh, we're going to put the ties on before we forget. Okay? All right, I'm going to put you on hold, and we'll be back in just a second. Okay, we're back. So this is what I have now that I'm done. When you flip through the pages, you can see how it looks. We have our, oops, I missed one. Look at that. I missed one. So I guess I'll have to go back and do that one. You can see that we have our pockets. We have one here. Now you'll be able to see them better when we put the writing cards in, because the writing cards are going to have tabs. All right. I'm not going to try to do a thumb hole or a thumb pull. And I'll tell you why, because it's a manila folder and 2 layers of tape. And if you have a hole punch that can punch through that, like one of those nice handheld ones, then you might want to go ahead and put, you know, a thumb hole there. But I'm going to put a tab on mine. I think I'm going to kind of like the tab showing, you know, on either side all the way through the book. I didn't do anything with the top here, and apparently I didn't do anything with the top back there. But I am going to tape the top, but I'm going to wait until I decide what I want to put across the top. I do have, let me look real quick. I do have this, which kind of goes with the outdoorsy theme. If I do, then that'll be big enough to cover the whole thing, if you see what I mean. But it might be a little too much in the rough, if you know what I'm saying. So I haven't decided what I'm going to put on there yet. If anything, I may just do the tape. You never know. It just depends. I haven't decided yet. My other alternatives, I do have some cream colored, oops, that's white. But anyway, I have some cream colored lace that's wider, like this, which would be kind of pretty with the flowers. This has flowers in it, but I would need to do the tape underneath, because you would still be able to see what the top looks like when you get done. You can still see the folds of all the envelopes, or the folders, I'm sorry. Whenever I say envelope, I mean manila folder. And so the better way to do it is to clean it up by putting a piece of tape across here. But you do have to be careful when you do it. Like I said, I'm going to wait. We'll do it before we do the papers on the front and the back. So speaking of papers, actually I do really like this, and it looks nice with the ribbon that we're going to use for the ties as well. Let me get that all untangled here. I have a giant ribbon mess. I really do. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 this size. This is 9 feet long. I had no idea I was going to end up with so much ribbon, and it was a really good deal. Anyway, like I said, I like to tell you when I get a good deal. I got it on Amazon, actually. I was surprised. So anyway, we've got this. So the next thing we're going to want to talk about is gluing the ties on. Let me set these papers aside. Let me get my scissors out. Okay, so we're going to want to, now I kind of do my ties a little funny. I almost wanted to do the tie before the tape so you wouldn't see it on the edge there, but then guess what? You would have had to cut a little hole in the tape, and that's not going to work. So we're going to put a tie on the front and a tie on the back, and it's going to tie on the side on both sides. So I was telling a friend of mine, Robin, and she has the YouTube channel, Uniquely Robin's, but she just got done doing a ephemera book, and it tied on both sides, and she just did it a couple days ago, and I was teasing her that she was going to think that I stole her idea, but I really already had this idea before I saw her video. Anyway, I do mine kind of funny. I decide how long I want it to be. I'm going to go about this long because I want to have a nice bow. And I'm not really sure how fat it's going to be. And I'm going to make it go in a little ways because we're not going to glue it for this last little bit. So I want to make sure, even though the paper is going to be on top of it, I want to be sure that it's held on really well. So I do like this, and then I double it, which makes all kinds of sense at this point. I'm going to double it. And then, I don't know, maybe add a smidge just in case. I'd rather it be a little long and trim it than it be a little short. So let's add another inch or so to either end. And then I'm going to cut it off. And then I'm going to make my other piece, and I want to make sure it's the same length. Okay, because we're doing two sides. Let me unribbon the ribbon. I guess it would be easier to just do it this way. Okay. Then I'm going to want to cut a piece. I'm going to want to, oh, I know why, because I'm going from the wrong end. I'm going from the middle. The middle came undone. I need to rewrap it. Anyway, instead of going from the end, I was going from the middle. That's why I was having so much trouble. So then I'm going to want to make a second piece the same size. And we'll trim them nice, you know, little diagonal cuts and all that good stuff when we get to the end. And I'm going to cut that. And now I usually, instead of cutting them in half and trying to make it work, to make sure they're even and all that, I usually glue the front and then I flip it over. That way I know it's straight as well. And I glue the back. So let's say the back is glued. And then I pull it out like this, and then I cut it in half, and that way I know they're equal. Now, I don't know. That may be kind of a crazy thing, but that's a good place to put them as well. So I'm going to take my pencil. I'm going to mark it here, so I know where I want my ribbon to go. And then let's measure how far down that is. If it's a reasonable number, we'll keep it. If it's an odd, crazy number, yeah, it's 3 1/4. So let's flip over to the back. Now let's see. Oh, the ribbon's going to be on both sides. So let's go down to 3 1/4. Make a mark. Make 3 1/4 on this side. Make sure you're marking from the top. 3 1/4. Now, I was never going to get a Tim Holtz ruler, but then I realized it was what's called a zeroing ruler. When you look in the middle, on one side there's a 0. So when you have to measure something out with the center, and then you have to go out an inch on either side, then that makes it really easy to do that. So that's what a zeroing ruler means. Okay, so I also want to go down 3 1/4 on this side. I had it right the first time. Okay, and so we're just going to glue them. I'm going to use Fix or Fabri-Tac, whichever one it is that I have. I have Fabri-Fix. I have a backup bottle that has a little bit in it that I can't get the lid off anymore to refill it. I actually had to cut a hole in the side and put some in there before I before I had gotten some more. It was pretty funny, actually. Okay, so I'm going to stick that down. I did go a little ways over onto the tape, but I, you know, and I know the paper's going to go to here, but the glue on the paper will hold it down to here. Well, actually, the paper's going to go about to there. So I could have glued it over a little bit farther, but, and I also glued one of my little puppy dog hairs. Now, you want to make sure you don't glue this tight. You want to, let me do it this way. You want to make sure that it's straight, you know, there's no twists. And then glue the other end here. See how easy that is? Glue the other end here. And put your glue here. I feel like I'm getting a sniffle here, my allergies. It's spring when I'm making this. Okay, and with this particular ribbon, it's so thin that you can actually kind of smush out the glue. All right, so now I'm going to give that a second to dry. While I'm letting that dry, I'm going to go ahead and glue the other side. I feel like I should have made one of those disclaimers there that was the bottle. You know, you have to fill those quiet times with something. That's all I have to say in defense of that. I think that is officially bad joke number 6. I'm going to try to make it straight and see that straight across that way. Now we can flip this over and we can glue it on the front. I usually keep my bottle filled really full until I run out of glue altogether, and then I let it run down. Usually takes me 4 or 5 days for some reason, even from Amazon, to get this glue in. So I have to remember to do it before I run out. And it's kind of an expensive glue. I mean, you get a good sized bottle, you get an 8-ounce bottle when you buy it. The Fabrifix and the Fabri-Tac, from what I understand, they're exactly the same thing. It just depends on where you live. And this is the one that smells like nail polish remover. You can actually thin this with acetone if it gets too thick. See how that's kind of thick? You can put a few drops or a little bit of acetone in there. Not the nail polish kind that has the lavender scent and all that, although I haven't tried that. But just the straight up acetone. Okay, now we're just going to pull this out straight. And then we'll cut it. And then we'll do that little trim on the ends to make them pointy. Okay. Then we're going to do the same thing on this side. I don't really know of a lot of people that do it that way, but to tell you the truth, I'm not really sure why. It's an easy way to make sure they're equal. Maybe, and sometimes it's not feasible. But now we have our ribbons on the side. They are going to kind of get in our way, but we have to glue them on now. There's no other choice. All right, so we've got those glued on. And now we're going to talk about the papers. I've cut some out so that you can see some examples. Now with these papers, let me get some full ones here. With these papers, they're pretty much cut it in half and it's the right size. It's 5.5. So there's a little smidge left over, and you want to look at what part of the picture you want to use. If your picture, like this one, it doesn't matter because you're going to be cutting it in half and it's pretty much equal, and you're going to want to think about where you're going to use it as well. So if you're going to cut this in half, You might want to put this on a page where it's on the outside. So you might want to put it this way on the paper. We will have to cut them down, but this way on the paper so that your door is on there all the way. Because if you put it this way, then obviously it's not going to work. So you need to think about what pictures you want on what page. And you also want to look at how much detail is on the picture. If you're going to have to decide whether you want to trim the top or the bottom, whether the image is to the left or the right, which in this case it's not a book that opens, so you're going to be kind of restricted to where it is on the page already. But you're going to want to look at it. Do you want to trim the bottom off, or do you want to trim the top off? Because we're going to have to cut about this much off. So on this particular page, I would cut it off at the top, and that'll be fine on both sides. Some of them you may have to cut it in half first, and then cut part of the bottom off on one and part of the top off on the other. You just have to look at the pictures and decide. You may have to cut them in half first and then decide. Now I've got some that I've cut in half. And I've also decided that this is going to be my cover and my back. They are really pretty. It's got the musical notes. This is going to be my cover. This is going to be the back. That's why I'm thinking more white. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to tape the top to smooth it out and then put a white lace across the top to cover everything up. So when I cut this in half, then of course the front is going to be like this. That's pretty. And then the back will be like this. So it will look like the page wraps around. This is the exception to the rule of the way the pages work. So I wrote on here the cover side and the back side, so that when I cut it in half, then I already know where the papers are going to go. As you know, once again, label, number. That's me. Okay? So I've got these other pictures that I haven't decided. You're going to have to print out multiples of some pages, like this page. When we cut it in half, I intend to fussy cut out another one and put it on top and ink it and make a big giant tuck spot for it out of it. So you're going to need to decide what you're going to do, and we're going to talk about the different elements that we're going to use and that you can use here in just a minute, because that also determines what pages go where. Now, this is a writing page, so it's going to go probably by itself, and you could put a little pocket over here. It just depends. You may want to put it on the top of a page so that when they open it up, they can write on it, but no pocket, so you don't have to worry about anything coming out when the book is closed. We'll talk about that when we're putting our pages in. Some of the elements you may not want on the top. You may only want to put them on the bottom. If it's a pocket that's deeper, you know, the kind that has the edges that fold under, and we'll talk about the templates and the elements, like I said, here in just a minute. So you're going to have to decide. You're going to have to cut your papers and then look at them and decide what you're going to do. Now, this page, there's just a little bit at the bottom, and so you could easily put something across here and even cover part of this, and it wouldn't matter. Especially if you did a belly band across here, you could just use this tan paper and it would be like a hidden belly band, and I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to do on this page. Actually, this is the triple pocket page. Once you decide what you're going to do with that page, then you might want to stick a little piece of paper, paper clip it on there so that we're going to, probably now is a good time to start talking about the different elements. Let me get my cut pages together here. So let me get my list because you're going to love this. If you are lucky enough to be watching this and you're a member of either Lisa's or my Facebook group, which you should do, then you will actually, as a bonus, you'll get a PDF with the step-by-step instructions on how I made mine. So some people don't write out, but if I find it easier to figure out what steps are the best to do in which order, and then I don't fumble around in the videos, and so I just go ahead and keep it and make it into a PDF, and then I give it as a bonus. So I do that with most of my videos on my Facebook group. So these are some of the things, some of the elements that would fit well into a flip book. A hidden writing card with a pocket. I'm not going to tell you what that is yet. A slide out belly band, a hidden belly band with a large writing card or notebook or notepad. Now, when I mean slide out belly band, I mean one that goes vertical and not horizontal. That way you don't have to worry about anything coming out. A double pocket using an envelope. We've got, here we go, some envelopes set aside already. Here's our stack of envelopes that we may or may not use. One of these, if you cut the top off, which we're going to, and when you put it on the page, whether you cut it down or not, which we may, then if you glue it on just 3 sides, you make a double pocket. You have a pocket here and a pocket here. All right. Another one of our options is to make a triple pocket by making the pocket here, making the pocket here, and then when we put the paper on it and we make it even, then we make a small pocket or a tuck spot at the bottom out of the rest of the open area. I would also like to mention that on these envelopes, I take this little part right here and cut it off. It makes it much easier to cover this part because it's just a rectangle and you don't have to worry about those little tabs. So just cut that off just like that. And you see how that makes it just a rectangle. I'm going to put paper here on the inside to cover this. So it won't matter that it's, or we won't. It just depends on whether you think that's a cute little contrast or not. But then it makes a rectangle. So all you have to do is put a long rectangle here to cover this up, and then a long rectangle of paper to cover that up. So let me go ahead and do this one so I know I've got both. Probably shouldn't have done this yet because I was going to use it as an example to show you how to do something else. But it won't matter, I don't think. And I use my little scissors for that, even though I use my big scissors for almost everything, including fussy cutting. Okay, let me put this stuff back where it goes before I lose my mind. Okay. So a pocket tuck combo, which would be using something, a piece of paper or an envelope. Now remember, you're going to, we're probably going to decorate the papers and then put them on the page. It's easier that way in most cases for this particular type of project. Now see, I've got a little bitty piece of tape sticking out there, so I'm going to have to go back and trim that a little bit. Where was I at? Oh, a pocket tuck combo. So you make a pocket out of the envelope like we were discussing, and then instead of gluing it on 3 sides to make a pocket, if you don't quite have enough room, then you can just make a tuck spot out of the top and the side, so you would only glue it on 2 sides. Fussy cut tucks and pockets, which is what I was talking about with the big flower picture, the basket with the flowers. An envelope flip with which is a 1 envelope waterfall. So you would cut a slice in the paper, stick the envelope in. Obviously we would have to cut it down, and then it would flip up. Okay, an accordion book, which I've already made one, and we'll go over how to make it. Okay, I've already made one. And I don't have it in front of me. All right, let me use these other 2. Oh, here it is. Okay, so it goes like this. These are very easy to make. I use them a lot as little inserts. Okay. So those, a CD cover flip out. Now you may have to remember, these are not very big books. Now to use one of these, you would have to, obviously you're going to have to put this part, you're going to have to flip it under the paper, like the paper would go across here. A bookmark, and tuck it in one of your tuck spots. A circle tuck, which is by making circles and tucking in. That's probably what we'll do with the bookmark. A matchbook type thing with a notepad inside. A clasp closed element with an interior element, which is like this. You just unwrap one. And these are brads. My brain is gone there for a minute. All right, that's another element. And you can have a bottom pocket on a top page, and then put something in there that's big enough, that's thick enough, like maybe your trifold book, your little book, that you don't have to worry about it coming out as you're opening and closing the book. Okay, so that's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O. Wow, that's a lot of different ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10. That is 15. Couldn't remember if it was 10 or 15. I counted so far. Okay, now elements that we will be making that do not come with the kit is the bookmark, the circles. We're going to have to make our own tags, make our own writing cards, make our own accordion book. We're going to probably make a little notebook to stick in our other pocket. And we're going to have to make our own pockets. And we're going to obviously make our own fussy cuts. So that's why you're going to need multiples of the paper. Okay, so now let's make our little accordion book. I'm going to use a couple cards and show you, or a couple of envelopes. Make these with check-sized envelopes most of the time. Let's move our little guy out of the way here. Our pretty little thing. And all you do is you take an envelope with the open side up, and you take another envelope and you flip it over and you glue it to the bottom like so. Then you flip it over and you do the same thing. You open the flap and you glue it to the bottom. Say this is just one envelope, and you glue it to the bottom. And that makes it accordion. You can see on this one, here's an open envelope. Well, I've trimmed everything, so it's kind of hard to see. I've trimmed these little edges. But there's an open envelope with another one glued on the bottom, and then I flipped it over and glued this one on the bottom, and then that also gives us a top flap. Depending on the way you close it, it either covers the covers the opening. Whoops. I thought I did this one where it did, but I guess not. Or it just covers this pocket, which is the way I usually do it. And then I close the book like this. Okay? So that's how we make one of those. I guess I could go ahead. I don't think I have a third one of these envelopes, though. Wonder if it would make it too big if we added one more onto here. I've already inked this one. I can ink it some more. So to add another part to it, all I would do is you got the envelope side up, the opening side up. You remove this if it's a self stick. Then you add some glue to it. And you glue it face down. Make sure to line up the crease with the end of the envelope. And that's all there is to it. To add another piece, we would just flip it over. So the open side is up. Take another one so the open side is down and glue it. Now we are going to have to cover this with papers. We're not going to do it on camera. I'm going to show you one section and then you can go ahead and do it from there. I haven't decided which papers I'm going to use. Now in this case, with the extra one on there, this is a clasp that could hold it shut. You might have to move the fold over a little bit, make a little gusset to fold it over so that it doesn't poof out like that. Or you could just keep it like this, do this like that, and then tie a little ribbon around it. That would be pretty, a matching ribbon to this. And just glue it on just like we did this one. And then tie it shut. That could be the pull. When you put it in here, then the bow could be the pull to pull it out. What a good idea. I think we'll do that. Okay. And now we're going to cut our papers. My dog's lost his mind. And hold on just one second because it's really early in the morning. Sorry about that. It's 5:30 in the morning and I definitely did not want him to bark. I live in an apartment. So on here I have cut the papers and inked the papers. So what you're going to want to do, on a side note, if you want to round the papers, you can. And that might look nice, the rounded papers with the square corners. That's totally up to you. I haven't decided yet. I may do one and lay it on there and see what it looks like and then decide. But I will probably do the square only because a lot of our elements are going to be made out of envelopes. And so the envelopes are all square or rectangular. And so it's going to be easier to line things up with the edge of the paper if your corners are not rounded. All right. And we're going to make, let's see what time we're at. Oh no, we're at an hour. We're not going to do that. We'll start with that in the next video. So this has been video 2 in the series of One Digital Kit 2 Ways, a collaboration with Lisa Fisher. And I will see you in the next video. And that will be just a second for you and a day for me. Bye-bye.